Welcome everybody to another Learn Squared live stream. You got Nick with Learn Squared here, and I am joined by KleinerHai. Welcome Kleiner to the show.
Hello, everyone.
It is really exciting what we have for you today. We are launching Kleiner's brand new course, Sketching Everything. So you guys have been seeing the finished images from Sketching Everything on your screen, going through all different kinds of sketching styles. This course is very much true to its name. It involves sketching a whole lot of different things in a whole lot of different ways. So we're really excited to be able to finally bring it to you. And so go to the Learn Squared site. You'll be able to find that right now. And on today's show, it's another really special show. Kleiner is back to do another live demonstration for you guys of the techniques featured in the course. So we're going to be doing a whole lot of sketching on today's show. But first, let's jump over to that course trailer. For anybody who hasn't seen what this course is all about yet, I think that'll be the perfect way to explain it to you. So let's go take a look at the trailer for Sketching Everything.
What if you could plan out an entire world using sketches? Welcome to Sketching Everything. KleinerHai is a concept illustrator and designer with a talent for creating immense, sprawling worlds. In this brand new Learn Squared course, he's going to teach you his comprehensive techniques to define every aspect of a project through simple, easy-to-learn sketching. When building a world from scratch, quick and dirty brainstorming is the name of the game. Kleiner will help you to create not just singular drawings, but dozens of sketched images at a time, each defining different aspects of your universe. Using Kleiner's signature macro-to-micro workflow, you'll start with the largest establishing scenes and work your way down to the smallest personal moments. Throughout the course, you'll learn several finishing techniques for your sketches, including full line art scenes, value sketches, character sheets, color frames, and large-scale environment plans. Finally, you'll separately design close-up details like individual buildings or animals, even down to the doors and windows used in your world. By the end of these 4 lessons, your pencil will be able to move at the speed of your imagination. On top of that, Kleiner is currently hard at work on a second course, all about his painting techniques, set to come out early next year. Your next project awaits. All you need to do is sketch it to life. Sign up today at learnsquared.com.
Guys, Sketching Everything, you just saw the trailer there, and as you can see, there's a whole lot of stuff that came out of this course. It's an incredible amount of work. Kleiner, before we jump into the demo today, can you talk a little bit about your sketching process? How do you go through the sketching process? What's first? What comes after that? Give us a little idea.
I think I just start random line work or roughly line work. Start some random shapes with like building or with some custom design. And then after that, if I think that's gonna looks interesting, I'm gonna just keep on to work more detail and do more design or think back with the element either makes sense or not.
Yeah, and what's interesting about that, we'll talk about this more during the rest of the show too, but in the course, Kleiner kind of shows how to do exactly that, where you're starting out with like not really worrying too much about the basic shapes and stuff that you're creating, and almost using those unconscious things that you put down on the page to come up with interesting designs. So using the subconscious to kind of accidentally arrive at cool sketches. I think that's such a cool idea of how to create art. And it's really important for any artist to be able to utilize. So let's jump into the main demonstration here. I'm going to jump over to your computer screen here, Kleiner.
Yeah.
And we'll start off the demo. Now, just to let you guys know, while we're doing the demonstration here, in order to allow Kleiner to really focus more on the sketches and not be bombarded with a million English language questions, he's requested that I also field some of the questions on today's show. So I'll be able to answer any of your questions as well. Anybody who wants to ask anything about the art, about the course itself, about the techniques, because not only have I seen the whole course, but also for anybody who's taken the course already or started on the course already, you know that I am actually the voice who narrates the entire course as well. So I feel pretty equipped to be able to answer any questions that you guys might have as well. So we'll be doing double duty on today's show. The two of us are going to be teaming up.
All right.
So Kleiner is, what is kind of like the general idea for how we're starting here?
I think we just gonna start some character brainstorm.
Nice. So
and
yep,
and after that, I think if we got time, we can do more exploration, like character in situation, some stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah, on the previous live stream, we really focused a lot more on environments. So it's pretty exciting to be doing some character stuff here. And to reiterate for anybody who is interested, the course goes through not only a whole bunch of environment stuff, but the course also focuses a lot on characters. So it really goes into kind of all aspects of what you might want to be sketching. And we'll be talking about that throughout the show. I want to say a shout out to a bunch of the people who have been in the chat already on today's show. We have Noshad Ahmad, who joined before the show started. Love the enthusiasm. It's Andy as well. Welcome. Welcome Aviz. Guys, thank you so much for your love and for your enthusiasm on the show. We have some great questions and comments already on the stream, so we'll be getting to those during the stream. I love the first question from Nashad Ahmad, who was asking, is your course going to be free for all, with a little crying face? And even though the emoji might indicate that you were joking, I want to just reiterate to everybody that like all of our courses, the first lesson of sketching everything can be taken for free on the Learn Squared site. So you guys are able to kind of dip your toe into the water here and start learning, and really with no risk. So anybody who's interested, anybody who wants to learn how to sketch, make sure you go check it out, and you'll be able to find out for yourself just how powerful these techniques are. So I hope that that helps to answer your question. It's Andy saying, really excited. I bought it in pre-order. Love that. Can we get some, I'm gonna get some hearts in that chat there to celebrate anybody who has been jumping in and picked up the course for themselves. Thank you for the enthusiasm. And so Kleiner is already into the process here, already creating a really cool design right off the bat. And so to kind of go through a little bit of what is in the course, we start out with the largest scale concepts, and we move our way in towards closer and closer and closer, more personal ideas. We talked about it a little bit in the trailer. We call it the macro to micro workflow, where in the course, the way the course is structured, the first lesson, besides being about, like, you know, how do you want to plan out your project and how do you want to, you know, how do you do the basics of sketching? Other than that, once you start on your project, you start with the biggest, most zoomed out scenes, you know, like the establishing shots. And then in the second lesson, you move a little bit closer into your environment. So for Kleiner, that's like looking into his city and looking at some of the different buildings and businesses and stuff that are in that city. And then in lesson 3, you start moving back into the like the characters. So seeing like what, you know, who would be populating these areas and looking at those characters, and then kind of turning that back around on itself and creating scenes that are focused on those characters before, you know, at the end, learning how to like finalize and make your sketches look super nice and stuff like that. But I think that's such a great workflow, and it's really helpful to be able to do that, because you'll be able to really kind of like figure a lot of things out before moving into the detail stage. So for example, when you're working on these really zoomed out scenes and you kind of figure out some general architectural concepts for the buildings and things, then once you move into those closer shots of the buildings, you can really extrapolate on those, but you already have a baseline for how to establish that. And of course, once you have an idea for how the architecture of the buildings looks, that influences how the characters dress. You know, is it a very open kind of area? Is it like a lot of indoor places? Like, you know, are they dressing in a way that fits the weather and fits the mood of the place? You know, all of those things are informed by what came before. And it's a really cleverly structured course. I was very impressed with with Kleiner's workflow, and I think you guys are going to be very impressed as well. So there was a couple people who mentioned during the show earlier that we are aware of, like, there was a problem on the Learn Squared site today where some people had a problem logging into the site. I've just been told that that has been fixed, so everybody should now be able to log into the site and fully access everything. So if you have been hankering to get your hands on the course, you can now log in and do that. If you want to go buy it for yourself, go check it out. We'll get somebody to post the link in the chat there about the course so you guys can go find it. You'll be able to also find it at the link in the description of this YouTube video. Yeah, Kleiner is just a beast, already getting in there and starting on the second iteration. And that's a big...
It's just roughly sketched.
Well, it is looking awesome. And that's a big thing in the course too, is like making sure that you do multiple versions of the character and multiple versions of the costume. Can you talk about the importance of working on multiple versions like that, Kleiner?
First one is to not limit yourself, and then go check. It's pretty important to check any references or any inspiration stuff to see what kind of good stuff you can use for your own design. And I need to, like, sometimes I see that looks pretty cool, and like different formal there or different element over there, and I can do something like that or something like a little bit different, and adding with that gonna looks great. It's more kind of like doing design work and not just doing painting or doing drawing. But you need to do have a little bit drawing line work skill, and then just start that more easily, I guess.
Yeah, and you know, it's just like such a free-flowing process. There's a lot of parts of the course that really focus on helping you to people to kind of like get out of their own heads and just really start on ideas and play with ideas and not feel self-conscious about, you know, is this like a good idea or a bad idea, and just like really just get into it and put things down on the page and see how they feel about it and decide later if it's a good or bad idea, but not kind of like talk themselves out. A lot of us, when we're sketching, we get a little bit too hung up on like the before sketching process, where we think about like, oh man, is this going to be good? It's not going to be good. I won't do the sketch. And then like we cheat ourselves out of making what could be a great piece of art. So a lot of this course, in addition to helping plan your world and also learn like how to sketch, is also about learning how to be confident with sketching and how to sketch very freely and without judgment.
Yes. Don't need to be clear any of the line work looks pretty cool or not.
Exactly.
Maybe you do that pretty soft. The character gonna look like this. But if you already have mind think about the design, it's still can make sense, because when you do that, after you think a lot of detail, a lot of element over there, it still can be a pretty cool stuff. So don't need to be limit yourself with the drawing skill. You just can do line work, and then it all can be done.
Exactly. It's like a course that is really for everybody. Like it from the most absolute beginner who's never done a sketch before, even somebody who's never sketched before will be comfortable in this course. It's going to help you to
Yes, yes.
grasp the basics and also to like just feel comfortable, making a lot of sketches. But and then all the way up to advanced, intermediate and advanced people, it gives you a whole new perspective on how you might have been sketching before. So it kind of like is something that can be useful to any level of artist and any level of like, experience with sketching. Now I want to shout out a couple of people in the chat as well. Aviz, who was really excited for the show, saying "Let's do it" when the show was on the intro screen. Thank you for the enthusiasm. Saying, um, uh, Aviz saying "just bought" later down in the chat. I thought I saw that there. Let's get a heart in that chat for Aviz. Just having bought the course, that is amazing. Thank you so much
Thank you, man.
buying the course, and we're really excited to see what you create. Mai as well in the chat saying, looking forward to this class. I followed Kleiner for a long time. So excited to hear that he opened a class. Kleiner, a fan in the chat.
Thank you, thank you.
And Mai saying, I thought I saw there. Yes, I bought it. I had bought it since the last stream. That is awesome. And it is, now you are finally able to get your hands on the course itself and really dig in. It is such an impressive course. There's so much amazing stuff to learn. So I hope you just have an amazing time. And don't forget, to everybody who is taking the course, make sure that you participate in the homework assignments. There's a whole bunch of interactive sections throughout the course. That's one of the things we really pride ourselves on, is that our courses are not just sort of tutorials, but rather a truly interactive experience where every step of the way throughout the course, you're learning something, and then you get to put those things to the test, and you get to really put those things into practice, and share those with your fellow students. So make sure that when you guys take the course, do your homework assignments. It'll make you a lot more loose and free with your sketches, and your other students will be able to see your work and give you suggestions and help you out. Make sure you show your support to your fellow students, and really be a part of everything, because you're going to get exactly out of the course what you put into it, right? Like the amount of work that you put into it, the amount of enthusiasm, and of course the amount of good vibes. You never know with the art world. A lot of times, great connections come from being fellow students in a course, or connecting over comments and things like that, and sharing your work with each other. So yeah, just make sure that you put out some good vibes and enjoy the course. We got a lot of great comments on here, and once again, thank you everybody for your enthusiasm. We're going to get to some more comments in just a second, but I want to announce, while Kleiner is making this amazing, already amazing thing of 2 characters, oh, it's so good. We're going to cut away for just a second, because I want to tell you guys about something that we have launched. Since the previous live stream, we've launched a new thing for Learn Squared. This is something we've never done before, and I want to tell you guys about it. So Learn Squared has launched our own Patreon. So you guys can go to patreon.com/learnsquared. We call it the Learn Squared Insider. It's where you're going to be able to get all sorts of amazing behind-the-scenes looks into your favorite courses, see some upcoming course stuff. You'll be able to get exclusive content before it's available for everybody else. And we've been doing some celebrations of Kleiner's course, doing some deep dives into the things that are featured in the course itself. So getting some Patreon subscribers have been able to have access to a couple of the videos from the course, get some early looks at one of the environment demos, get a whole kind of deep dive artist profile into Kleiner himself and his art and his art style. Patreon subscribers also get an exclusive coupon, always great, love that. And a whole bunch of stuff. You can see there's some videos. We have articles about going into and exploring pieces of art that were created. We look at students' artwork, And another thing is that from the previous stream, the full 2-hour process video that had been recorded on Kleiner's computer during that stream was up early for Patreon subscribers a week beforehand so that they could really explore what was in that stream and take a look at it. And that will be the same for this one. So once this stream is over, the full process video is going to go up on Patreon a week before it shows up in the course itself. So get excited, guys. Patreon is a new world for us, but we've been doing our best in creating a whole bunch of cool stuff for you to check out. So go check that out. It is patreon.com/learnsquared, and you can become an insider. I like being able to you become an insider. Do my Patreon announcer voice. We'll get a link to that in the chat as well for anybody to check that out who's interested. So I think now is a good chance to check in. Kleiner, we got some amazing more concepts going on here. What's kind of the thought for this new character here?
I'm just gonna do a couple of cases over there. For me, I think I do kind of different direction of and also different elements of these keys. Also, we can add in more adult, and after that, let's just do some different place over there and what they gonna do in maybe they just in the clothes store or in the barber shop, I don't know. But first we just start with character.
That sounds cool. And one of the things in Kleiner's world too that he talks about a good amount in the course is like what you want to figure out first and foremost. This is one of the things that's covered in lesson 1, like as you're planning out your world. What is kind of like the feeling that you want with your world? What is the theme that you're trying to accomplish? You know, like going deeper than just saying like, I want to make a fantasy world or something like that, but saying like, you know, for example, Lord of the Rings is fantasy, but also like Harry Potter is fantasy, and like there's all sorts of different types of fantasy, and they're all trying to accomplish different things. And so really thinking about like, what is the kind of like message in your world? What is the feeling? So in Kleiner's, for example, it's like a brightly lit, like sort of high key world where you're seeing from the perspective of a child, and there's kind of like steampunk elements in it and things like that. And having children to populate this world and really give it that whimsical sort of storybook feel is a really important thing in Kleiner's world. And of course, not everybody's going to have the same concept for the world that they want to work on, but figuring out something that is kind of like unique to your world and the way you want to communicate it near the beginning is always a good thing to do. So we have here another comment in here from It's Endy. It's Endy saying, first course I bought from Learn Squared and already taking the classes a few hours ago, looking forward to the upcoming lessons. Thank you so much for getting the course, and you know that I'm already posting a heart in that chat right now. Good stuff. Get some hearts for It's Endy picking up the course. Thank you. And really excited to see what you create from the course, and also really excited that it's your first course. We're so happy that you jumped in and joined us in the Learn Squared family. That is amazing. Now, so while speaking of talking about the course and talking about first time users, let's jump back in here for anybody who maybe is not acquainted with this course yet. Anybody who doesn't know what we're doing on today's show, let's talk about it a little bit. So we are celebrating the release of KleinerHai's brand new course, Sketching Everything. It is a course that literally does cover just about everything you could imagine in terms of what you would want to sketch. There are dozens of sketches that got created during the events of this course. He shows you his process of having created all of them, and really just going into characters, environments, details, moods, all different aspects of how sketching works, line work, uh, all different kinds of things like value sketches, line art images, like brainstorming, all the way from brainstorming to like the most refined sketches. It really goes through everything. So this course is available right now on the Learn Squared site. Today is the premiere day. Today is the launch day. So get excited, ladies and gentlemen. It is time to start sketching everything. And with that, I think it's a good chance to let's take a look at the trailer. Maybe get a little bit of a more in-depth explanation and see a lot more of what the course has to offer. So we'll be back in just a second and we'll take a look at that course trailer.
What if you could plan out an entire world using sketches? Welcome to Sketching Everything. KleinerHai is a concept illustrator and designer with a talent for creating immense, sprawling worlds. In this brand new Learn Squared course, he's going to teach you his comprehensive techniques to define every aspect of a project through simple, easy-to-learn sketching. When building a world from scratch, quick and dirty brainstorming is the name of the game. Kleiner will help you to create not just singular drawings, but dozens of sketched images at a time, each defining different aspects of your universe. Using Kleiner's signature macro to micro workflow, you'll start with the largest establishing scenes and work your way down to the smallest personal moments. Throughout the course, you'll learn several finishing techniques for your sketches, including full line art scenes, value sketches, character sheets, color frames, and large-scale environment plans. Finally, you'll separately design close-up details like individual buildings or animals, even down to the doors and windows used in your world. By the end of these 4 lessons, your pencil will be able to move at the speed of your imagination. On top of that, Kleiner is currently hard at work on a second course, all about his painting techniques, set to come out early next year. Your next project awaits. All you need to do is sketch it to life. Sign up today at learnsquared.com.
Guys, Sketching Everything, you just saw the trailer right there. It's an incredible course. As you saw, it's full of a huge amount of content, ranging all the way from the earliest brainstorm sketches through environments, characters, details, creatures, props, everything. Sketching everything. As the title suggests, it might be our most perfectly named course that we've done in terms of titles, because it really describes exactly what the course is. So go check that out, learnsquared.com. You can get it right now. Today is the first day it has been available to take the course. So we're really excited to hear what you guys think. We're really excited to see what you guys create. You can see on screen a slideshow of just a bunch of different images that Kleiner created for the course, going through all those different styles that I mentioned. It is really an amazing course. So we're going to jump back over to Kleiner's screen now while we talk on the show. Kleiner is here doing a live demonstration of the techniques taught in the course. So you're seeing him actually create these sketches right in front of your very eyes. And just to let you guys know, Kleiner has requested from me, just so that he can focus a little bit more on the sketching and also not have to, answer a million English language questions on today's show. I'm also going to be fielding a bunch of the questions as well. And if you take the course, you will recognize that I'm actually the one who did the English language dub of the course. So I know I know everything that's in it because I've seen and narrated all of it. So either of us will be answering your questions on today's program. And fire away with your questions. Speaking of, we have a few questions in there. So Mai saying, question, do you solve perspective and proportion in your characters' sketches? And that's something that, so first of all, yes, there is a section during lesson 1 where Kleiner goes into, it's kind of like a crash course on all the different basics of sketching. So going into the basics of perspective, camera angles, breaking down composition, which is a really important one. There's actually a section where he goes through like great scenes from movies and anime and comic books and stuff, and really breaks down like how the image is composed and identifying basic shapes to create that. And then, you know, in lesson 1 and 2, it's more about environments, but lesson 3 goes specifically into characters. And there's another kind of crash course specifically about, you know, how do you use characters, and how do you create a human body, and how do you focus on, you know, these proportions and all that stuff. So yes, it absolutely does cover those topics. Mai also saying, hopefully there will be another stream about Kleiner doing the painting class in the future. Hey, a boy can dream. I can dream. Kleiner, would you be interested in coming
Yes.
back for another stream?
Yes.
Wow, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. We're really excited for the painting course as well. That's, you know, Kleiner is hard at work with creating that. We're hard at work, you know, narrating and editing that, what we have already. And as you saw in the trailer, it's just an incredible bunch of stuff that came from that painting course as well. And of course, there's still more to come that we have not created yet. So the this is a pretty amazing series of courses. And the nice thing about the painting course is that what you create in this sketching course, it can carry over exactly into the painting course. And what we mean by that is that during the sketching course, Kleiner actually creates some of the sketches that will become paintings later in the painting course. So during painting everything, he will grab a sketch that was created in sketching everything and will actually turn it into a painting. So it shows you literally this is the exact workflow that you would use. And he shows you also in this course, if you are planning to make a painting, how to kind of like think about your sketch from that perspective. Because of course, sketching is a very versatile subject. Sometimes people want to sketch because that is their finished product and they want to post those sketches on ArtStation or use it as like their final finished image. And sometimes people use sketches as a means to create something else, whether they are handing that over to somebody to create CG, or whether they're working on a film and they're trying to get approval for a design, or whether they are trying to create a painting and they want to make that sketch as a means to figure out what's going to go into the painting. So that's one of the really interesting things in this course, is that it shows you how to do all of those things. Like if you want to make your sketches as final products, it certainly shows you how to do that. But it will also show you how to prep your sketches and kind of like where to plan those sketches out if you are trying to turn them into something else later. And I think that's a very useful kind of like real world skill that you can use, whether you're using this course for personal work or whether you want to move into the professional space and, you know, work on projects as a part of a larger team or something. So that was something I was really impressed by, that as like, you know, wow, this course really, it truly applies to everything. So we have another question from Mai as well. Do you think about story before building your, before you build your world? And
Yes.
I will give that question to you, Kleiner.
Yes, of course I need to think about story. But all the stuff I did is just concept for my own storybook. And so I have to think a little bit about a different element and a different environment over there. Did they need to go anywhere to do something else? If there is important to the main story or not? And after that, you can just do a lot of kind of different sketch or different storm to try to find that. Maybe sometime you did that is not really important, but you can still find that gonna be a interesting stuff, and you can hold that like a kind of a rest story, or it's kind of just something another stuff. Maybe when you do kind of like after the main story, they can have a rest on the hotel or in the bar, but the case is doesn't allow in the bar. I just do an example, and after that you can just write down some little bit story. Maybe there's something funny things over there, but
Exactly.
the main story is the pretty important thing. You need to think a long time, and the whole word element, all the stuff need to support with the main story. So it's the pretty complicated thing, but if you have a passion on that, you can just keep working on that.
And you know what's interesting about that is like, so the course helps you to not only to sketch, like it's not only a course about how to sketch. It is also a course about how to bring a world to life using sketches. So it's not only giving you a bunch of instruction about like, here's, you know, the best techniques to use for sketching, here's how to do line work, here's how to, you know, kind of like work through your sketches, but there's a huge portion of the course that's also going to help you through the process of coming up with your actual world. And that's kind of like one of the earliest things that happens in the course, is to really think about what is important to you in terms of building a world. I talked about it a little bit with like, what is the theme, what is the vibe of that world.
Yes.
Another thing is like, what is the end result? So like I was saying, like, do you want to turn it into a painting? Do you want to turn it into a video game? That kind of thing. Because all those things can really impact what the sketches themselves look like. For example, because Kleiner uses kind of like a storybook style finishing method for his artwork, that helps to influence the fact that, you know, okay, well, maybe the world is going to be sort of focusing more on children and their experiences in this world, and give it kind of like that storybook feel. And so as you go through the course, you're going to end up with a world that feels very fleshed out. And what's nice is that as you go through, you don't need to kind of like take a whole lot of time right at the beginning to figure out your world. It kind of helps you to figure out the world as you go. And so you can start with a little bit of a looser idea. And Kleiner talks about how it's like the three things that are really, really important to figure out is the theme, is the feeling of that world, and is the finishing method that you're going to try and eventually turn these images into. And then once you run with that, like, you can kind of start on what you're trying to make with sketches. And as you go, you will kind of chisel away and figure out exactly what that world wants to be. And so, yeah, that's like a really important part of how this course works. And it's going to help you to make your sketches a whole lot richer than they might have been before, because they will be supported by a very kind of like defined world that they live in.
Yes.
And so we have 4 different character designs here, Kleiner, that you created in this last, you know, half hour or something. That's really incredible. This is real time, guys. Kleiner is like creating these sketches right now. This is not like a pre-recorded sped up video or anything. Yeah. There you go. So, you know, you've created these 4 characters. And so what would be kind of like the next step that comes after this?
So this one is just the first case, I guess. Another one the element or the shape language looks a little bit different, I guess. But after that, I think they gonna work in some kind of building there,
Ooh, okay.
and maybe they gonna meet some guys, or maybe they gonna look at something gonna feel interesting, I guess. So we just start to another kid.
Awesome. I'm excited. I want to say again that, guys, thank you so much for your excellent questions throughout today's show. We've had a lot of great questions already, and the show has not even been going that long. So thank you guys for the great questions. Thank you so much for the enthusiasm of being excited for the course, and for people who have gotten the course, and for people who have already tried the course and started on it. It's amazing stuff. What we're talking about, for anybody who is just joining the show today, right now, what we're doing here is a live demonstration. KleinerHai, the instructor of our newest course, Sketching Everything, is here showing off live on the stream, showing off the techniques featured in his new course. So you can pick up the course right now. It just came out today. Once again, it is called Sketching Everything, and it is available on the Learn Squared site. You can find a link to it in the video description in there. It's an incredible course full of just a whole bunch of knowledge, and so you're gonna be transformed by the end of this course. You're gonna be creating so many amazing sketches. My saying, excited for the painting class too. First time I saw Kleiner doing world building art pieces, I wanted to paint just like him. Yeah, that's one of the cool things about Kleiner's art style. And once again, thank you, Mai, for the amazing enthusiasm. We're also excited for the painting class, I want to say. But that's one of the amazing things about Kleiner's art style, is that he is creating images in all different kinds of sketching styles and all different kinds of painting styles that all combine. Even though they're all these different kinds of finishing methods, he publishes all of them together, and they somehow all feel like they're a part of the same cohesive world. And even though it's like so many diverse different, like these types of character sketches and these types of value sketches and character sheets and a painting that has like storybook text on it, and a different painting that's like a like a taller kind of like cover art type of image, and all of these things put together feel like they're all part of this one big cohesive project. That's like a very powerful aspect of Kleiner's sort of design language and artistic portfolio. Most artists will kind of stick to a single style, but Kleiner shows throughout all of his art that he puts out that he really is sort of a master of many different styles, and he's teaching you all of those styles. In this course, he is teaching you all of the sketching styles that he is master of, and in the next course, it is the exact same thing for painting. So yeah, get excited for that as well. We are also very excited for it, to see what's being created. Kleiner, what's when you're creating artwork, like how did you kind of come up with the idea that you wanted to do this storybook style, and the way that you finish all of these images?
Sometime I just lost my mind that I have no idea, and at that moment I need to just go to like Pinterest or Google to find something can give me some spark, I guess, give me some idea. That after that, maybe it's just a corner of it, of some picture, but I see that element gonna looks pretty cool. Maybe I can use for the character, or maybe I can, based on this element, doing a building or doing some other stuff, or maybe I gonna check a lot of kind of storybook to see how they doing the different kind of composition. Also, sometimes if I got some new idea, maybe just a little story, I just still start with just a roughly line work. Maybe roughly like there's one line work. Oh, house. oh, like this, or maybe the sunset and the cloud over there and some trees over there. It's pretty simple. And after that, here's kind of like a demo, or just a composition demo. And at that moment, I think this is great, but maybe after a couple of days, I thought that they're gonna look a little bit awkward. I'm gonna change, and then I need to still go to check a lot of different elements, different references, and maybe I can finish that as a good stuff, as a good idea. Maybe like I just change whole composition, like maybe I just tune that vertical like this. Maybe it's just kind of like the whole stuff gonna be changed, but still, if I got some interesting thing, I can still make that make that as a interesting idea, I guess.
Yeah, it is really fascinating the way that throughout the course, when Kleiner is doing all of these sketches, like, he's creating them and starting from scratch for each of them, and just really working through the process. And one of the things that's really was important to us to preserve in the course is kind of the authentic creation process for Kleiner making art. So Kleiner was just talking about, like, sometimes having trouble coming up with ideas and looking at reference and
Yes.
switching up your your ideas that you've come up with before. And there are some parts in the course that I think are really endearingly like candid, where Kleiner will actually be making a design and say, like, for this particular design, like, I don't actually have any ideas for what I want to do here, and I'm not really sure where I'm going to go with this. And he is kind of like working through that and saying, like, okay, well, I'm just going to sort of add like a few things to this area, a few things to this area, and see what happens. And invariably, as he keeps going through, he will find more and more like cool little things that can be added, and eventually it turns into an amazing design. And I think that is really inspirational to anybody who's trying to create really any kind of art. We've all had moments where you kind of get stuck and you feel like you don't have any ideas, you feel like you don't have any inspiration, and that sort of discipline of being like, okay, well, I don't know what the solution is going to be, but I know that if I keep working on this problem, I will figure it out. And kind of making yourself keep creating and kind of working through that artist block. I think that is a really inspirational thing to see, that people all the way at Kleiner's level experience that too, and seeing how he works through it. So for any of us who have had that same problem, I think that is a really valuable part of the course as well. And I'm very glad that you were comfortable sharing that during the course. So
just do not limit yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, don't limit yourself, and don't feel like, just because you don't have an idea now, that doesn't mean that you're not going to have a cool idea very soon or later. Sometimes it means there are certain parts of the course where Kleiner says, like, okay, well, I got this to the point where I think it's cool, but I'm going to walk away and I'm going to do something else for a while. I'm going to come back, and then I will look at it again. And a lot of times then he will, have a whole bunch more ideas to add to it. So sometimes it's as simple as, just spending some time taking a walk or something and just not thinking about that image. And sometimes it means, just working a little bit more on the image and adding extra things and playing around and seeing what happens.
Sometimes if you're stuck on someone that you just feel boring, or sometimes you just cannot get some good stuff adding, maybe you just leave that to start a new one, or start any of a practice, or do any of brainstorm, and after a couple days or a week, you can just go back. Maybe sometime you're gonna have something new. You can change. It gonna feel pretty different.
Yeah, and that ties really well into something that Mai is asking in the chat. Uh, so let's say that so this is what Mai is saying, let's say someone is too shy to share their world building to the public because they think that their pieces are not good enough or they're too critical of themselves. How would you deal with this issue? And that's something we try to, like, on the platform side on Learn Squared, we try to help you with a lot, which is like the way that our courses work. It's not just instruction, like it's not just watching the teacher make a piece of art. That's all, of course, part of it, but a lot of it also involves like giving you chances to apply the skills that you're learning and keep creating things, and posting in a community of other people who are also working through the same things that you're going through, so different people are at a different level, but what we've noticed is that overwhelmingly the Learn Squared community is very positive, and very supportive to each other, and we love that. We love seeing that, and seeing everybody really rooting for each other. So I think that if you're concerned about like your things that you're created, or if you're concerned that you don't think that your work is like at the level that you want it to be, I think that we try to kind of like encourage and celebrate that. Like, everybody wants to get better. We're all here that's why we're all taking a course, right? Is like to get better. And so everybody is kind of in that same boat, and everybody's kind of rooting for each other. And so I think that as you continue taking the course, first of all, the course itself, because of the way that it encourages you to do so many sketches, is going to very rapidly help to improve your sketching abilities, and feedback and validation of being able to share with your fellow artists is, I think, really useful. Rather than posting it in a place where sometimes when people post things on social media, people who don't go through the same struggles as them are posting on it and saying like really negative things. But typically when you're posting among fellow artists who are also working on their own projects, like I've found, at least, and we at Learn Squared have found that those kinds of comments tend to be a lot more constructive and a lot kinder, and a lot more supportive. So hopefully, being a part of this platform will help with that. And so, to give that question to you, Kleiner, have you ever had a moment where you've made some art and you felt like you were sort of scared to share it with people?
Yes. If I made that not interesting or made that not feel pretty cool, I guess. No, I'm not. It doesn't mean that not to feel looks awkward, but for me, I'd like more interesting than the good painting skill or the good drawing skill. So if I sometimes cannot just sharing some pretty unique or some fresh idea, maybe just some normally stuff over there, I just gonna feel boring, or I will not want to share that stuff.
So there you go. Like, everybody goes through that same fear. Like, it's not just you. Like, it's definitely something that everyone's experienced, at any level. And that's one of the things Kleiner mentions too in the course that I think is really fascinating, is that like Kleiner talks in the course about how your kind of like rendering skills, like your technical sketching abilities, are not necessarily as important as like things like composition and like how cool your world itself is. Like, and he talks about a lot of times how you can use you can kind of play to your strengths. And if you feel like your sketching abilities are not as strong, that having like thinking more about the world or thinking more about having like great compositions can make up for a lot of that. And he shows in the course how to do those kind of things. So
Yes.
I think that hopefully all of this answers your question, Maya. I think it's a great question. I think it's something that a lot of people struggle with and a lot of people have felt. So really appreciate that question. And so we have even more character sketches happening on screen. This is incredible how many different awesome designs are being made. And I just want to take this opportunity once again to talk about one of our newest things that we've been doing at Learn Squared. This just launched. We have created a Patreon. So the Learn Squared Insider is the name of our Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/learnsquared and find it for yourself. It is where you're going to get behind the scenes looks into your favorite courses and instructors and all sorts of stuff. So we've been doing, diving into Kleiner's work, looking at a lot of different things. There are early video looks at courses that are coming out but have not launched yet. So before Kleiner's course launched, people were able to see an exclusive couple of videos from the course. We did a full artist profile on Kleiner, really looking into the different art styles that he's done and, kind of looking into the world that he's created. Patreon subscribers also get a 10% off coupon for courses in their order, so that's always good. And there's some, articles and things really exploring different aspects of the art creation process. And there are early looks at videos before anybody else gets a chance to see them. So for example, last live stream, the full 2-hour process video from the previous live stream was posted a week early on Patreon, exclusively for Patreon subscribers to be able to look through that and really sink their teeth into the art making process. In addition to that, we also did, we look into all of our courses throughout Learn Squared for people who might have missed previous courses and stuff like that. So we looked into some lighting basics from our environment design course with Gaia Seguion, and really looked through students' artwork and stuff. So there's a whole bunch of stuff happening on our Patreon. You can become an insider right now by going to patreon.com/learnsquared. So we're back looking at Kleiner's demo. We're on to a 7th character design. So it's amazing to say that. 7 character designs on today's show.
I just roughly brainstorm.
You can say that, but the work speaks for itself, Kleiner. It is pretty incredible. Mai's posting a heart in that chat. Thank you, Mai, for the incredible questions and for the enthusiasm. And thank you for the heart. Showing that love on today's show. For anybody who might be just joining today's live stream, we are in the process of showing a live demonstration from KleinerHai, the instructor of our newest course on the Learn Squared site. His course just launched today. It's called Sketching Everything. You can find it right now at learnsquared.com. You can start learning and go check it out, guys. It has an insane amount of artwork that's being created. Even on today's show, in this like hour or however long, he's already created 7 character designs on the show. It is amazing. The techniques that are taught in this course, you can see them right in front of your eyes, how amazing it really is. And the course goes through not only characters, but also environments, props, costumes, creatures, all sorts of different things. It is really a totally comprehensive course. You know what? Instead of me explaining it to you, let's go take a look at that course trailer. For anybody who doesn't know about Sketching Everything, let's go take a look and see what this course is all about.
What if you could plan out an entire world using sketches? Welcome to Sketching Everything. KleinerHai is a concept illustrator and designer with a talent for creating immense, sprawling worlds. In this brand new Learn Squared course, he's going to teach you his comprehensive techniques to define every aspect of a project through simple, easy-to-learn sketching. When building a world from scratch, quick and dirty brainstorming is the name of the game. Kleiner will help you to create not just singular drawings, but dozens of sketched images at a time. each defining different aspects of your universe. Using KLEINER's signature macro to micro workflow, you'll start with the largest establishing scenes and work your way down to the smallest personal moments. Throughout the course, you'll learn several finishing techniques for your sketches, including full line art scenes, value sketches, character sheets, color frames, and large-scale environment plans. Finally, you'll separately design close-up details like individual buildings or animals, even down to the doors and windows used in your world. By the end of these 4 lessons, your pencil will be able to move at the speed of your imagination. On top of that, KLEINER is currently hard at work on a second course all about his painting techniques, set to come out early next year. Your next project awaits. All you need to do is sketch it to life. Sign up today at learnsquared.com.
Guys, sketching everything. You just saw the trailer there. It is an incredible course. You saw for yourself all the different types of art that KLEINER created for it, and even beyond that, there's even more than we showed in the trailer. In total, there's 38 sketches that got created for this course. If you can believe it, you're seeing them go past on screen right now. It's an incredible amount of work. And what's great about this course is that you saw like a lot of very finished sketches in the course that are like very advanced looking. But this course goes all the way towards beginners as well. So even if you're the most basic, you've never sketched before, you don't have any skills to start with, it'll help you with even the most basic aspects of sketching. So, learning about perspective, learning about how the human form works, learning about, finding references and finding things to inspire you for your sketches, things about camera angles, things about, all the things that you might need, composition and stuff like that. So the course will really help everyone from the most absolute beginner all the way through to intermediate and advanced students to help refine their techniques and help to more quickly finish out sketches and more quickly brainstorm their sketches. It's got something for everybody. And as you've been seeing throughout this slideshow and through the trailer, the work really speaks for itself. It's so much incredible work that it's helping you to create. So let's jump back in to the demo. We're going to take a look at KLEINER's screen here, and we're going to go back and look at what he is creating. So as you can see on the top of the screen, KLEINER throughout today's show has been live demonstrating his sketching techniques, and you can see that there are these 7 different characters that he has created during the show. So this is part of the course. This is something that he goes into in lesson 3, is to really just kind of brainstorm out your characters and look for different looks and poses, or feels and costumes and stuff. And really just kind of figure out who that person is using like a neutral pose. Like, what do they look like? What is the feeling of their costume? What do different costumes possibly look like throughout this world? And then after this, the process that you would do once you figure out characters is to kind of like brainstorm out some scenes for those characters to really feel like themselves. So really show like, what does the life look like for this person, and how do they go about their day, and what does it look like when this guy is drinking at the bar? What does it look like when this guy is going to the market or something? And rather than show, because there's also parts that are environment focused, where it's showing like, what does the bar look like, but then to really have scenes that explore like, what does it look like when these people are at the bar and it's like 2 a.m. and they've already had a bunch of drinks, and like, now let's look at it from the character's perspective. And that's a really, really valuable skill. So KLEINER is going to be now jumping into this next part of the process, and I guess I will let you talk about it, KLEINER. Like, what's coming up in this part here?
So right now is the character in situation. or you can see it as art exploration with character. Just put them in the environment and see how they feel in the situation. You need to add a lot of different elements, also combine with different character.
There you go. I mean, so we call it in the course, we call it the explorations, where you're really trying to figure out, like, not really assigning too much value to any individual scene, but just trying to think about, like, how does it feel with these characters in these scenes or in these places, and what might they be doing and how might they be living.
Yes.
And it's a really fascinating part of the process to kind of take the focus away from just thinking about, how do I show off this environment in its, best form, and instead think about, like, okay, maybe the environment plays a part in this scene, but it's not really the focus as much as the characters are.
Yes.
And so on today's show, we're answering questions. As you guys saw, we're talking about the course, all that stuff. Any questions that you guys have about the course itself, about Kleiner's art style, about the artwork that he's created and the world that he's created, post whatever you want to know in the comments below, and we will certainly be down to answer anything. And just so you guys know, like, Kleiner's requested on today's show so that he can focus a little bit more on the sketching process, and so that he won't be bombarded with questions the whole time. I'm going to be taking some of those questions as well, but have no fear. For anybody who's already started on the course, you will know that I am I'm the one who dubbed the entire English language dub of the course. So there's plenty of, I've seen all the videos, that I certainly can answer plenty of questions as well and talk about the course. And so, we have this sheet of characters above the scene here, and that's something that's, you guys have seen in the trailer, and you saw on the slideshow at the beginning of the episode of the live stream, is that, having these different citizens for the world, or different designs for the children, or different designs for people, and different specific people, being able to lay those out on a single sheet is really, really useful. And so creating character sheets is a big part of stuff that is created in the course. And Kleiner talks a lot about this, and explores different use cases as well for, like, for example, looking into Studio Ghibli artwork, and taking a look
Yes.
at Nausicaa, and taking a look at also at Porco Rosso, and specifically exploring, like, how does Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli lay out their characters? How do they figure out what the poses look like? What does it look like when they are doing that kind of, like, sketching research on their characters? And that is one of the things that Kleiner also puts a lot of importance on in his own artwork, is having those characters very defined on a simple to look at sheet, where you can see the character themselves, you can see different details, kind of, like, laid out on the sides of those characters, like a close-up on their face, a close-up on a piece of their costume, things like that. And in his art style, he even writes little pieces of text about these characters, so, like, little stories about them. And that's, of course, related to his particular, the storybook style that he goes for. But, being able to, no matter what kind of art style you're going for, having the ability to, like, lay out all your characters on a nice looking sheet is useful for whether you're doing a personal project or a professional one. That's going to be something that can help you a lot. So Kleiner, you are incorporating another person into your scene here. You had mentioned a few ideas for locations,
Yes.
before we started. Can you talk a little bit more about what your thought process is right now for, the scene that we're looking at?
Yeah. Uh, I just think that we did a bunch of different the character like costume brainstorm or just some random brainstorm there. Why not put these keys in the clothes store?
I love
Just
that.
share all the clothes over there. It's pretty simply idea, but it's pretty interesting for me.
So he's basically like being fitted for a new
Yeah,
set
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah,
clothes. Maybe it's like,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, the day before the first day of school or something. He's at the tailor shop and they're like fitting him
Yes,
out.
yes,
I love that. And you know, that's something that, of course, again, everybody's world is going to be different. They'll all have different requirements, but in Kleiner's world, it's very focused on the experience of this boy who is, you know, traveling through this kind of whimsical world and seeing all these things for the first time and, you know, visiting new lands and stuff. And,
yes,
you know, he's
yes,
writing about within the canon of Kleiner's world, the boy is writing about his experiences, and that's what we're reading in his like in the text that we see and stuff is like all from the perspective of this young boy. So, you know, showing these kinds of things and writing things about that and, you know, really establishing that world and having like a strong kind of point of view from for that world. It doesn't even necessarily like it's not like the world has to have like heroes and villains and battles and stuff and all of these things. In Kleiner's world, it's all just focused on very kind of you know relatable scenes of like even though it's kind of a partially a fantasy world, they're all very you know scenes of real everyday life for a lot of these, or like going to a festival or going to the market or to the store. And
yes,
through seeing this kind of like incredible design of this world that we've never seen before, it makes it really exciting to look at because, you know, they're like costumes that are so cool looking and architecture that's so cool looking. And we are in the same shoes as this kid because, you know, he is visiting this place for the first time and he's like, wow, look at all these great buildings and oh, this festival is so cool. And I love the, you know, the robots that are this guy is creating or whatever. And you know, we're in the same boat where we're like, wow, look how cool these costumes and buildings and robots are. I think it's just such a strong style to go for. And throughout the course, you know, that again is Kleiner's particular art style. And while that is what he uses as the example, you know, to demonstrate in the course, there are plenty of moments in the course itself that talk about how you can apply the types of techniques that he's talking about to whatever type of art you're trying to make. So it's, you know, you don't have to create the same exact type of story or the same exact type of world. It really gives you chances to talk about like, okay, well, for example, in this lesson where we talk about characters, what if you have a world that doesn't have any characters in it? What if it's more of a kind of post-apocalyptic world, or what if it focuses more on creatures or something like that? And how would you adapt, you know, these lessons and these homework assignments into that? And so there are plenty of chances where it really kind of takes a step back and says like, okay, well, here's a reminder that you know everybody's artwork is going to be different and we're all working on our own projects, you know. And I think that's really cool as well to kind of like include everybody's things in there. Of course you can't plan for everything because we don't know what art you're going to make, but we've tried to make the course as, you know, accessible to everybody as it can possibly be. Oh, I love this where we're already looking at, so it's maybe like the uncle who's standing there waiting for the kid to get fitted for his clothes and they're looking in the mirror or something like that.
yes.
It's so much fun to see the designs that you come up with, Kleiner, where they're like, you know, are some of these based on kind of like personal memories, or do you take any inspiration from like, when you were a kid and getting clothes for the first day of school or something? Or how do you come up with some of these ideas?
Uh, I think I did a lot of stuff and just feel like more daily, same as the reward. Sometimes you need to go barbershop. Sometimes you need to have a rest. Sometimes you need to play for fun. Sometimes you need to focus on your homework as you as when you as a student. So I just put in all these stuff in the different word, and all the design, all the feel gonna be different. It's simple, but for me it's still interesting. And adding a little bit different, you can see it's gonna be more unique stuff you can add. And after you add more, you're gonna change a lot. Maybe gonna change the whole thing. The whole world gonna change. But all the stuff at the beginning, you follow all the stuff with the real world. So I think the main thing gonna make sense. After
Yeah,
that, when you do a lot of change, there's gonna be a unique style of yourself, unique design, unique element.
that's really interesting as well. Like in the course, Kleiner talks about this too, where being influenced by real things that happen to you, or real world things, is very important. And that comes into play not only in coming up with ideas, but also
Yes,
in using references for your images. So one of the things that Kleiner talks about in the course is when you're searching for references, one of the things that especially a lot of early artists will do is, like, if they wanted to make a world that's post-apocalyptic steampunk world, then they will only search for references that are post-apocalyptic steampunk references. And that obviously will only get you so far, because it's going to limit you to only things that have that look, and things that have already come before you with that look. And he helps you to kind of broaden your horizons and say, like, okay, well, I'm going to look for references from any part of the real world, or other works or something, that maybe I just like this tiny little pattern that's on the wall, and I don't have to think about how the rest of the image doesn't look like what I'm trying to create, because I'm
yes,
I'm only really thinking about this one little piece that I want to utilize. And maybe I'm thinking about, like, this composition is cool. I'm not even worrying about what is in the image, but rather just how it's composed. And so
yes,
being able to broaden your horizons and really, you know, also use, like, for example, if you're trying to make a fantasy property, you can still use references of, like, real life animals and real life buildings and stuff in that. And he talks about that with, like, doing a case study of the Lord of the Rings, or other fantasy things, and talking about how, like, yeah, well, this is all fantasy, but they still used a lot of references of, like, real animals to create, like the Mumakil or something like that. It's based off, like, elephants, and real designs for um, elephants and stuff. And some of the architecture will be based on particular, like, ancient types of buildings and things. And that just because you're creating something that might be outside of the reality that we know, that doesn't mean that you have to completely forsake any real world examples. And that applies to that, as well as what Kleiner was talking about, like pulling in inspiration from your actual experiences. Like, you go to the barber shop, and what is the feeling in the barber shop, and how do you communicate that in your world? And maybe maybe all it takes is transposing that into another world, into a different world that, now it feels totally new.
Yes, yes. Because the real world had a lot of great stuff I've seen and never seen, but when I check on the references, I see, oh, this is pretty cool.
Yeah,
So
it's just a matter of keeping an open mind and looking around you and really sort of like taking in everything and not just being like narrow-minded about it.
yes, yes.
So Mai has another very good question. Excellent questions today, Mai. Thank you for the questions. Mai is asking, when you're creating a piece of art, which is more important to you? Is it the satisfaction that you get out of making the art, or is it the satisfaction the audience gets out of viewing the art? Because sometimes you'll make a piece of art that you really like, but that the audience doesn't like as much. So I will give that question to you, Kleiner. What's more important to you, whether you like the piece of art or whether the audience likes it?
I think for me, it's more for the world building. I share as world building, so I do a lot of stuff for the world building, even though it more feel like roughly or just a sketch over there, but it just support to the whole thing, to the world building. And as a painting, I guess you need to, the most important thing is you need to make yourself excited with that. After that is to care about it, that the audience will like that or not. Do not to follow another guy's mind that when they said oh, the element looks so awkward. You just follow yourself mind.
Yeah, that's good advice, and it ultimately other people are going to get excited about something that you're excited about. That if you like this thing, that will, you know, that will mean that you put more of that love and effort into it. And a lot of times it's really about letting your own tastes and your own preferences and your own passions be the guiding force and kind of like let that send you to where it's going to send you.
Yes,
uh,
yes.
because other people can make suggestions and they can say what they want, but at the end of the day, you're the one who has to sit there with your art for however many hours and create it. And if you're not passionate about it, that's going to mean that you probably just don't end up wanting to finish it. And so the first and foremost thing is always going to be to make sure that you like what you're making and that you're excited about what you're making.
Avoid any of the negative stuff.
Yeah, that's definitely really important, and it's that makes it really important, you know, who you're talking to about your art and where you are
Yeah.
sharing it. We talked about that a little bit with like, you know, one of the things that can cause a lot of negativity is sharing your art with a lot of people who don't also make art, and who might just be like strangers who are, maybe they're having a bad day or whatever. Like, you never know, but posting on places that are like, sometimes like Facebook can be very volatile, or like Instagram can be very volatile sometimes. Whereas, on our platform, we've noticed that a lot of people, because everybody is also creating their own art, everybody tends to be very positive, and very supportive of each other because, obviously we know what it takes. We know what you've been going through, and we've been going through our own version of that. And, everybody who's making their own art is commenting with things that are constructive or positive or complimentary and things like that. So yeah, definitely be wary of like what kind of recommendations you're taking. You know, like it's not as constructive to post somewhere that might get a lot of comments if all of those comments are going to be negative or indifferent. So this image came together really quick, Kleiner. This is looking amazing already. In only the, you know, few minutes that you've been sketching this. That is awesome.
I just did not think more about it that makes sense or not. I just put them all over there, and if they're gonna looks a little bit weird, I just gonna change. If there's not, I just keep working.
And that's a perfect
Sometimes,
example of
yeah,
what we were just talking about earlier, where it's like that you will just put things down and see where it takes you and not feel too precious about like, is this like perfect right now? Um,
yes,
and that's it, you know, in the course, one of the things that's really interesting about the course is that you don't start finishing any of your pictures. You know, you're creating dozens of these images and you're not refining or doing anything further with them until the final lesson. So like you're just creating a bunch of pictures that are at like a at an early stage and then moving on to the next one. And it kind of helps you to, the whole point of that like process is to help students to really separate themselves from the idea that like you have to be really precious about one picture and take it all the way to the finish stage immediately. And you know, like, oh, this is going to be like my best picture, like you know, I'm going to put all this time into it. And just thinking about it instead as like, okay, well, I took, you know, 30-40 minutes to make this picture. Now I'm going to move to the next one. Now I'm going to move to the next one. Now I'm going to move to the next one. Like this is in a place where I know I can do something further with it, so I'll move on to the next one. And that really takes you out of that mindset that like you have to be a perfectionist and finish everything and everything has to be exactly the way you want it to be on the first try. And instead, now it's just about like um, creating all of these images and really opening up your mind to be like, okay, well, if I take them all to a, you know, a stage where we talk about it in the course as like it's like keeping visual notes for yourself. So you're basically like jotting down what you want to refine later, and you know, have Kleiner will put in like very kind of like basic details in an area and say like, okay, well, if I looked at this later, I would know that in that area I want to actually add like more specific details. But like you don't have to worry about those details yet. And you know, having the course be that way is a great way to get students out of their typical mindset of maybe feeling like they have to, you know, just work on one picture and not really think about anything else and really worry about how perfect it is. And you know, that as you progress and keep doing that kind of thing, that helps you to really just improve your sketches and arrive at better sketches faster because you kind of like that skill gets ingrained into your head. So
for me, the
yep, go
brainstorm
ahead.
is the most important and interesting thing.
Really, so the brainstorming process is the thing
Yes,
that like that excites you the most.
yes, yes.
Well, it certainly makes sense because there's a lot of brainstorms in this course. It's
Just at that moment, I don't need to really limit myself with is there like the mood or the the situation, the most detailed design makes sense or not. I just follow my mind to do a lot of different shape language, different element adding or not, different conversation. It's pretty fun for me.
yeah, you know, I mean, that is the freest part of
Yeah, yeah,
making a
yeah.
sketch. Yeah, like just coming up with any idea and running with it and not worrying about like perfection. And hopefully for a lot of students who take the course, that'll become their favorite part of the process too. A lot of people, that's the scariest part is, you start with a blank page and like, what do you do with this blank page? It can be very hard to start. It can be very hard, because people feel very critical of their own art once they've, created a little bit, and then they say, oh no, this isn't right, and have to keep refining it. And what this course kind of helps you do is to feel like you're just working on one of many sketches, and maybe this one doesn't have to be the best. What you're doing at any given time doesn't have to be the best one. And by having that mindset, you'll realize that a lot of the sketches you thought were like, oh, this one will just be like, this won't have to be the best sketch. It'll turn out being a really cool sketch. And that happens for Kleiner in a lot of the videos, where like he'll start the video saying like, yeah, I don't really have any ideas for this one. I'm just gonna kind of like do whatever comes to my head, and see what comes out of it. And then by the end, it'll be like, one of his favorite ones. So you never know with that stuff, and you can't let your own kind of like criticisms get in the way of your creativity. So for anybody who is just joining the show, we are doing a live demonstration. KleinerHai, the instructor of our newest course, Sketching Everything, is here joining us live on the show. He's been sketching for the last hour and a half, all of these different incredible sketches that you see on screen, showing off the techniques in his new course. So you can pick up Sketching Everything right now at learnsquared.com. It just came out today, so it's your first chance to actually really get your hands on the course and really dig into it. So go check that out, guys. Go purchase that on the Learn Squared site for yourselves and really become a part of that journey. On today's show, Kleiner has created, as you can see up there, 7 different character concepts, and has also been making, after that, making this scene of an environment with the characters inside of it. It is looking incredible, Kleiner. This is so cool. And so now it's becoming a value sketch. Can you talk about your process with using value in a sketch?
Just do whatever you want. If you want to adding some kind of element over there, or if you just want to start as a black-white step or any other step to do that, just feel free. And the one thing very important is doing the, how to say, the brainstorm sketch is the composition. Even though like the character, you need to know kind of if that kind of looks great or not. And if you figured out all the composition gonna looks like, the another step doesn't need to be clear. Like you start with the black one and then to follow on the element, adding the design, or you just start with the design and then adding the value of anything else. You need to be really clear about the step by step.
Yeah, and what's also interesting in the course is, so for example, if if we're thinking about some of the pictures that came out of this course, so let's actually jump over to the slideshow of these different pictures that have come from the course already. So you see there's like a environment plan with some line art. Before that, there was some value sketches. There's all different like kinds of sketches. Like this one is a brainstorm sketch of an environment. The course goes through many different finishing techniques. You can see there is a color sketch version of the same environment that was a brainstorm before. And in the course, something that Kleiner talks about is that none of these sketches are necessarily considered like better than the others, or like more, it's not like one of them is like the finished sketch of the course and that's like the end. Like if you're working on a project, it's all about what you're trying to make and what your final product is aiming for. So for example, this school is one that in the course he says like, I'm planning on turning this into a painting. So I'm going to only take this as far as I need to in order to make it into a painting. And so for these, it's like, okay, well, I need like value in this one sketch so I can communicate the time of day. Or this one, you know, I wanted to get the colors across, so I created a new pose for this character and posed him with color. Or this one, it's not about color, it's not about value, it's about seeing this environment from many different angles. And so like each of them is accomplishing a different goal, you know, seeing the different close-ups of the character and understanding who this character is. And that's really powerful, because when you're creating your own art, it's not really about like, oh, well, my art's not going to be good enough until I can make it look like this or that or the other thing, because it's all about what you're trying to get across with your art and what the important aspect of your particular world is that you want to communicate. And I think that's just really cool. So for anybody who doesn't know the course yet, let's take another second, since we're on this slideshow screen here, to take another look at the course trailer. Maybe get across some of the ideas, show you a bunch of the art and the art making process that takes place in the course itself. And we'll be back with more demo after that.
What if you could plan out an entire world using sketches? Welcome to Sketching Everything. KleinerHai is a concept illustrator and designer with a talent for creating immense, sprawling worlds. In this brand new Learn Squared course, he's going to teach you his comprehensive techniques to define every aspect of a project through simple, easy-to-learn sketching. When building a world from scratch, quick and dirty brainstorming is the name of the game. Kleiner will help you to create not just singular drawings, but dozens of sketched images at a time, each defining different aspects of your universe. Using Kleiner's signature macro to micro workflow, you'll start with the largest establishing scenes and work your way down to the smallest personal moments. Throughout the course, you'll learn several finishing techniques for your sketches, including full line art scenes, value sketches, character sheets, color frames, and large-scale environment plans. Finally, you'll separately design close-up details like individual buildings or animals, even down to the doors and windows used in your world. By the end of these 4 lessons, your pencil will be able to move at the speed of your imagination. On top of that, Kleiner is currently hard at work on a second course, all about his painting techniques, set to come out early next year. Your next project awaits. All you need to do is sketch it to life. Sign up today at learnsquared.com.
Guys, Sketching Everything is available right now on the Learn Squared site. You saw all of the artwork creation process in the trailer. You got an idea of the sheer amount of sketches that came from the course. That like zooming out shot in the trailer is showing the just the scope of how many sketches really came out of this course. And on this slideshow too, you can just see a whole bunch of sketches going by. It's an incredible course. There's so much to learn. And the best part is that there's really a lot of interactive sections that help you to put what you've learned into practice. So you're not going to be overloaded with too much information before you really get a chance to go hands-on. And even in the first lesson, in the first lesson, you're learning to build your world and you're learning the basics of sketching. But by the end of the first lesson, you've already started on your project and really started creating some basic sketches that will contribute towards your final project. So, all the way from the beginning in this course, you are getting your hands dirty and really starting to sketch and really learning through doing, which is so important. We think that's one of the most important things at Learn Squared, and we always try to make sure our courses help to get you guys into the process as fast as possible and, really kind of like putting your skills to use. So Sketching Everything is available on the Learn Squared site right now. You can find it. You can start taking the course. Make sure you go pick it up for yourselves and start sketching. We have KleinerHai, the instructor of the course, doing a live demonstration on today's show. So I'm going to jump over to Kleiner's screen here and take a look at what he's been creating. You guys can, oh man, it's so cool. You guys can see the stuff that Kleiner's been making on today's show. There are he created 7 character designs on today's episode and did this sketch that you see on the bottom of an environment with characters in that environment. And as you can see for this one, he chose to do a value sketch. It is looking incredible. Yeah, this is all live, real-time, live streamed sketching process. So you can really see exactly what you are going to be learning in the course and see that it really does, it really does work. Because you can see it happening right in front of your eyes here, guys. So yeah, every time I see Kleiner do a sketch, I'm blown away. But once again, I am blown away. Mai has a question in here saying, I saw in the video about doing general shapes first and then adding details later. So, and this is a great question, how do you see where you need to add more details and where you need to not add more details in order to make sure that the piece is not overly detailed? And that's a really good question, Mai. Mai, you've been killing it with the questions. These are great questions on today's show. Everybody's asking great questions, but Mai, you get the badge, the great question badge on today's show because you have asked a lot of really, really great ones. So I can answer that one. That is something that is actually specifically addressed in the course, because that's a very important skill, and that is a very important part of making art, is that you don't necessarily want to add the same level of detail to every single part of the picture, because then the eye doesn't really know where to look. And so it is something that is addressed particularly in the course. Is Kleiner tries to cut down on details in certain areas to make it feel like it recedes more into the background. In some of his art too, he even goes for like a more abstracted style where he'll completely remove all information from that part. So like, for example, in some of the color sketches, you may have noticed that there are parts of the page that are just white, that don't have any information on them at all, which are reserved for adding storyline elements and kind of making sure that the viewer's eye is pointed towards the areas of more detail. And there are other parts where he will, during the brainstorming or refinement part, have detailed out an area, but then once it comes time to do the final line work or the final color sketching or the final whatever, he will actually remove details from certain parts, because he realizes that, okay, well, that now that I have the the idea for like where the detail should be, this doesn't feel like it needs as much detail. And so it doesn't always involve simply knowing where to choose to add the details and where to choose not to add them, but also it involves choosing where to remove details that you've added. So it's a little bit less pressure, hopefully, knowing that it's you don't really need to know from the outset, like this area should have more detail, this area shouldn't have more detail, but rather when you're looking at the picture, once you've put those details in, you can say, okay, well, where should the eye be looking? I want people to be looking at this character. I want people to be looking at this building or whatever. And when I look at this picture, is that where my eye is going? Or maybe it's getting distracted by other things. And so that's one of the big things in the course that he talks about. And for the rest, I will let you talk about that, Kleiner. How do you choose where to add more or less detail in your picture in order to guide the eye?
First thing is think back that what you want to share, or the word, what kind of main thing in this picture. And after that, you need to know the most important thing and the second important thing. And then you go check that the detail, the the main thing detail, there more should be more than the second one. And how can I to make another guy focus on the main thing? How can I to make all the stuff to point on the main thing? This is the important thing. And yeah, so the detail thing, I guess, just more focus on the main thing. But when you do that, think that it's okay, you just leave that. And after days, you go check back, you see, oh, the main thing maybe should have more detail there, or the another thing should more or less. It's a kind of like you need to check a lot of time. That's why I did the painting just maybe couple of hours per day, and then I just leave that. I do not do that just in one day to do like 20 hours or 10 hours, 8 hours like that.
Yeah, and you know, it's again, it's like it's really interesting to see this whole process with like making sure that you do the brainstorming for all of your pictures or for the majority of your pictures before you ever think about adding detail. Because
Yes.
one of the things that from the beginning of the course, before you even start brainstorming your pictures, Kleiner gives a few different homework assignments that help you to just identify shapes within great compositions. So looking at like a scene from, you know, a really great movie or looking at a scene from a really great animation, and it's one of the earliest assignments where you literally just turn it into where's the horizon line, where's the main, you know, object, and just trace that with like a rectangle and just use like a vertical line for any human figure that's in the scene. And like if there's something that's pointing like a road or something that points towards the main thing in the scene, you draw that as a line. And like using extremely simple shapes, breaking down great compositions into the most basic possible visual concepts, it really helps to kind of improve your understanding of how a great composition works and how a great composition is able to lead the eye into a particular spot by using that exactly what you were talking about, using the ability to put more detail in the most important spot and less detail in the spots you don't really want the viewer to look. And so, even before you start working on your brainstorm sketches, you're already thinking about those kinds of things. And then when you do start on the brainstorm sketches, you're not getting to the point during the brainstorming stage where you're really adding a lot of details in so that, you can have some time to think about it, because you're only going to come back to that picture to add details after all the brainstorm sketches are done. And so you'll really be able to look at it again with fresh eyes and say like, okay, let me look at this picture. Okay, where do I want people to look? Is there a particular spot? I'll make sure that I add details there. And I think that that's another really great part of how this course is structured, because it is very conducive towards very quickly identifying where is the most important area in the picture and where do I want to add my details. So again, great question, Mai.
Yeah, good question.
So we have here, this is one of the techniques that is mentioned in the course as one of the methods that Kleiner teaches. Not only did he do, so basically throughout the show, Kleiner has done 3 of the techniques that are taught throughout the course. First of all is the character brainstorming, which you can see at the top of the screen. He did 7 different character brainstorm sketches to figure out what these people might look like who would potentially inhabit the scene. Then he did a exploration sketch of seeing what those characters might look like in a scene, which is sort of a brainstorm stage where you do like a basic figuring out what that what that place looks like, what the people look like in the place, you know, figuring out poses for them. And after that, once he had that sketch at a point where he liked it, he went to the third stage, which is to, on top of the brainstorm sketch, to actually start refining that using one of the finishing methods. So for this one, he is doing this as a value sketch, which in the course, there's kind of like two distinct methods of value sketches that are taught. One of them being using the outlines that you had created in your kind of refined line art and you putting value with those. And there is another type that just uses giant blocks of value in order to create like an impression of a place, but not necessarily focus on details. So in this one, he's showing how to add value to a piece of line art and have that complement the line art itself. And as you can see, it gives great results. It's just a course that there's so much to learn. And you know what we were talking about at Learn Squared, and that what we're so passionate about this course is that sketching is kind of like a discipline that anybody can participate in. You know, it's you don't need any like special software, you don't need any special like anything. Anybody who has a piece of paper and a pencil can sketch. You know, we do a lot of courses that go across the entire board of like really advanced technical things and things that go into a lot of different pieces of software, and you know that you might need a really powerful computer to use. And obviously there's many amazing courses that we've done, but the thing that's beautiful about sketching is that it's so accessible to literally anyone. And that is something that we do talk about in the course as well, is that Kleiner uses Photoshop to do his sketches, as you can see, but you can still take the course using a pen and paper or a pencil and paper and follow along with these lessons. And for example, with things like coming up with ideas, instead of like using Control Z or deleting a layer, you can get another scrap of paper and draw some concepts for what you might want to do for an area, and you know experiment with ideas before adding it to the main sketch and things like that. So there's ways to follow the course easily without even using a computer. So it's really a course that literally anybody can take, and that is something that we're really passionate about, because you know everybody can sketch, and everybody kind of needs sketches. Like every type of project needs sketches.
Yes.
So Mai has another question saying, I know that in Kleiner's world building, he creates his own architecture for this world. And that's true. Like it really is like a lot of unique architecture in Kleiner's world. And so Maya's asking, do you have any tips to create a new architecture structure for your world? And so I will leave that to you, Kleiner. Like, what is your main inspiration for creating these kind of really unique ideas for architecture?
First thing is still need to inspired by the real world. You need to know the basic of the building. It's kind of like you need to have a door, have window, have rooftop, a lot of stuff over there. And then after that, you just think about the main element shape or the main shape language over there. Kind of like, is there more like circle, or they're more like a square or anything else? And then you need to know the main shape of your building. Is there more like this, or they're more like this? And after you think of the main flow of the main shape of the building, then you can just start with adding a lot of detail, like maybe just one stair, just stove there, their window. and then you add in rooftop or anything else. But the main thing is what kind of different element shape or what kind of different shape language you want to do with your word.
And you know
It also depends on what kind of word you want to create. Is there fantasy or is there more sci-fi or anything else?
right, and we were talking about it before too, with like pulling from things in the real world. Like, for example, if you're creating a sci-fi universe, a great example of classic sci-fi that did exactly what we're talking about is Blade Runner, which
Yeah.
Blade Runner was, Ridley Scott was trying to create a very, unique and particular look for his sci-fi world, and he ended up pulling a lot of times like very exactly from real Japan, just like areas, like the look of how city streets look when you're walking down the street in Tokyo, uh,
Yes.
and use that almost one to one in Blade Runner. And a lot of times it just felt like its own world, because you're taking the real world, but you're adding a single little spin on it that says like, okay, well, this is this, but in the future, and this is this, but with these things, these twists added to it. And a lot of times that's all you need, like a lot of times it can be, you find an aesthetic that you like, you find a shape language that you like, and you run with it, and that can make your world feel totally, totally unique.
Yes. It seems like different quality, you need to use different shape language.
This is looking
Different kind
incredible, Kleiner.
different kind of thing. And I think there should be, and this one should have more elements, but for the frame limit, you just over here. Maybe adding a little bit more. I don't know. It's just the showing some close over there.
Yeah, I like just watching your process and watching you go through this whole, the whole process that you do is so fascinating. And I think it's really interesting the way that um, you talk about it in the course that like one of your particular like passions is for scenes that show everyday life, that are not big epic scenes, which that's fine. It's totally fine if somebody else's world focuses on that, but your kind of focus is on these um, very mundane moments of like, this guy is going to the store and this guy is going to this place, but because it's
Yeah.
in this amazing world, it looks so cool. And what I think is so great is that from each of these pictures, even without the text, which in Kleiner's final art, a lot of times they have text that is written to complement the pictures. But even without the text, there's so much character to the pictures, and there's so much personality, and you could just really feel like you're in that place, and you can feel like these are real people who are, you know, experiencing these things. It's a very powerful skill to have when you're sketching or creating a world, is that this the ability to make the viewer feel like they are truly taking part in this world. Maya saying, thanks a lot for the awesome stream. Gonna have to go. Maya, have a fantastic day. Thank you so much for being a part of our show, and thank you for the excellent, excellent questions throughout today's broadcast. You had a lot of great ones. Again, you get the great question badge on today's episode.
Yeah. The question king.
Gideon Gold saying, hi everyone, welcome Gideon to the show. And as you can see, we're already well into the process here. Kleiner has created a bunch of sketches already on today's show. It's looking so cool, Kleiner. I'm so excited. Now, for anybody who is just joining, like Gideon, what we're doing today is a live demo of the techniques in KleinerHai's brand new Learn Squared course, Sketching Everything. So Kleiner is showing off his sketching techniques live on the stream. You can see that there's 7 character designs he did. He's doing a design for a value sketch of an environment with characters and all sorts of props and all sorts of stuff here. This is amazing to see this happen right before our eyes. And you guys can pick up Sketching Everything right now and start making your own sketches right now on the Learn Squared site. So the course has come out today. It is we're really excited that you guys are finally able to get your hands on it. And in order to sort of get a better understanding of what this course is all about, let's go take a look at that course trailer.
What if you could plan out an entire world using sketches? Welcome to Sketching Everything. KleinerHai is a concept illustrator and designer with a talent for creating immense, sprawling worlds. In this brand new Learn Squared course, he's going to teach you his comprehensive techniques to define every aspect of a project through simple, easy-to-learn sketching. When building a world from scratch, quick and dirty brainstorming is the name of the game. Kleiner will help you to create not just singular drawings, but dozens of sketched images at a time, each defining different aspects of your universe. Using Kleiner's signature macro to micro workflow, you'll start with the largest establishing scenes and work your way down to the smallest personal moments. Throughout the course, you'll learn several finishing techniques for your sketches, including full line art scenes, value sketches, character sheets, color frames, and large-scale environment plans. Finally, you'll separately design close-up details like individual buildings or animals, even down to the doors and windows used in your world. By the end of these 4 lessons, your pencil will be able to move at the speed of your imagination. On top of that, Kleiner is currently hard at work on a second course, all about his painting techniques, set to come out early next year. Your next project awaits. All you need to do is sketch it to life. Sign up today at learnsquared.com.
Guys, Sketching Everything is available on the Learn Squared site right now. You can pick it up, you can start sketching, take all your, do your homework assignments, create some amazing universes and amazing sketches. Kleiner shows how to do so much cool stuff in this course, and as you've been seeing on today's broadcast, he can put his money where his mouth is. He really is really making this stuff live, so you can see the process as he goes through. So let's jump over to Kleiner's screen here. We're gonna close out the show and maybe kind of do some finishing touches and talk through what we've created on today's broadcast. I want to make a reminder too, before we jump into the closing moments, on our Patreon page. So when you guys go to the Patreon, the full process video of today's broadcast will be uploaded a week early. So starting right after the stream, up until a week from now, the Patreon people will be getting an exclusive look at the process video, and after that it'll be added to the course itself. So you can see that that's what happened with the previous stream. Patreon viewers had been able to see that process video since September. So there's a whole bunch of cool stuff to check out on the Patreon. You can become an insider today by going to patreon.com/learnsquared. Or you could go to Learn Squared and you'll see a link to the Patreon. Either way. So let's go back over to Kleiner's screen here and go check out what is happening. I want to, before we talk more about the artwork as well, Gideon Golt has a question in here. And so this is a great question as well. Thank you for the question, Gideon Golt. I've just joined, so I'm not sure if this has already been asked. Have no fear that this has not been asked yet. I was wondering if Kleiner has ever used 3D as a base, even only to get an idea of perspective and lighting. So Kleiner, have you ever used 3D?
I did that years ago, but right now I did this project did not use 3D anymore.
So you feel more like, because I've noticed that when you make an image using perspective, or when you put in your lighting, you are very confident with your perspective and stuff. Like I've never seen you really draw like perspective lines or vanishing point or anything. Like you just kind of intuitively know how you want to make your image in perspective.
Uh, I have the perspective line used before, and after a long time doing painting stuff, I have a little bit of mind to think about that. And another thing is sometimes I use the perspective line, gonna limit myself to make something like more wider shots like this. You can see. And if you use sometimes you use the perspective line, they're gonna still have a too straight stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like with fisheye angles and stuff. It can be pretty
Yeah.
complicated. So yeah, there
So
is kind of an intuitiveness. Yeah.
if you already have a mind of the perspective, like you should know the bird view, top view, anything else, or you have a good foundation of the perspective, you just to have a mind in your brain to know, oh, that gonna looks a little bit weird. If I did not know that how to change, I need to put a perspective line to do that. And if you think that it still looks okay, you don't need to do that. But it depends on, you should have a good foundation. If you don't have a pretty good foundation, you need to still do a basic perspective line.
And so, yeah, so great question, Gideon Goal. That is something that's really useful for a lot of artists. To using 3D solves a lot of problems right off the bat in terms of what you're trying to create. Um, you know, just because Kleiner doesn't use it in the course doesn't mean that you can't use it. If you feel more at home with 3D, you can certainly use that and then sketch on top of it. One of the other things too, to talk about perspective lines and things like that, that is something that's specifically covered in the course, is like how perspective works, how to make perspective lines and vanishing points and stuff like that, how to create images from different camera angles, from an bird's eye view, or like an upper view, being lower and looking upwards, being above and looking downwards, looking straight on. Really specifically looking into a lot of those things is covered in the course as well. So a lot of the different fundamentals of kind of making sure that things are in perspective and things like that are covered. I hope that answers your question, Gideon. And yeah, thank you for the question. So Kleiner, today's show has been going for over 2 hours here.
All right.
Maybe 2 hours 10, and you've created an incredible amount of content. To remind everybody of what Kleiner has made, he's essentially shown off 3 of the different sketching methods in the course on today's show. So first, you can see on the top is 7 different character designs. That is like a character brainstorming session of going through and figuring out different characters who are gonna, populate this world. Next, he did a brainstorm exploration sketch of putting those characters into a location and, kind of building a scene around those characters that is not necessarily meant as much to show off the location as it is meant to show off the characters and their experiences in that location. And finally, on top of that brainstorm sketch, he has been doing a value sketch, which involves adding value to the scene, figuring out some of the lighting, and at the same time refining some of the line art elements and other sketched elements of that scene. And so any of these 3, methods can become a finalized, can be one of the finishing methods that you can use in the course. And it's all based on just what you're trying to accomplish. Do you want to know what a particular scene looks like, or is it enough to just know the design of the character, for example? In that case, maybe just having the characters and laying them out on a character sheet works. Or maybe you want to create the, have more lighting information, so you actually want to take it to a value sketch stage. Or maybe you only need it to be, the brainstorm version because you know that you're going to turn it into something else later. So all of these methods are usable as like what you might turn the image into as a final sketch. And the course goes through these and many more different types of sketching throughout the course. So, you guys are going to get a real understanding of a lot of different methods as you go through. And so, Kleiner, would you be able to sort of talk to us about kind of what you've created and what, how you feel about it, and just kind of take us through what you've made today?
I think this one is, for me, as a brainstorm sketch is finished, because if you think about the elements on these clothes, I think it should have a more detailed design to think about that. But for me right now, I know that what kind of thing I should do in this picture. So this is, for me, this is finished. And about lighting, something else you can just change after that. Maybe it's not, it looks like this. Maybe gonna change more. Maybe it's just night outside, and the lighting is on here. And yeah. So about these case, the element is pretty rough. I think it's just kind of like sharing the shape, the roughly shape of there. You can see the different shape language on these clothes, and different composition on these clothes. And so after this step is just doing more detailed design of the character. But right now, the brainstorm the character and also the character in situations finish.
It's just a lot of incredible work that you've created on today's show. And thank you so much, Kleiner, for coming in and doing another one of these demos. Congratulations on your course launching.
Yes, thank you guys for supporting me about that.
We're so excited to see what you guys create in this course. When you guys take this course, make sure you post your homework assignments as you go through so you can share it with your fellow students, get some feedback, and make sure to, of course, get engaged with other students as well, and really make sure to post some support for your fellow students going through the course. You guys can pick up Sketching Everything on the Learn Squared site right now. It is available for the first time today to actually start taking the course and going through it. So, we're really looking forward to seeing what you guys think. You'll also be able to find the unedited full process video of the creation process of making this artwork that Kleiner has created on today's show. The full 2.5-hour process video is going to be posted on our Patreon, so you guys will be able to see that. And a little bit after the Patreon, it'll be actually getting added to the course as well. But Patreon users will have the sort of exclusive access for the first week there. So go check that out if you're a Patreon subscriber. That's patreon.com/learnsquared. If you want to find the course, you can go to learnsquared.com. You'll find it plastered all over our site. The course is just incredible. The amount of sketches that have come out of this course is huge. So make sure you go check out Sketching Everything, guys, and start creating some incredible worlds. Once again, thank you so much, Kleiner, for being here on today's show. Thank you so much to everybody
My
who
pleasure to be here.
it's just amazing, like the stuff that's created today and during the course. I want to give a shout out to everybody who has been hanging out on today's broadcast. I know that it's late for a lot of people, depending on your time zone, and we really appreciate everybody who's been a part of today's show. Nashad Ahmad, thank you so much. It's Endy, thank you, Mai, and with the great questions, Mai especially. Aviz, thank you so much. Thank you to Gideon and Gold. Thank you guys for being a part of today's broadcast. It's really just been an incredible show. Kleiner has made some amazing artwork, and there's even more incredible stuff to see when you take the course. So go check that out, and we will see you in the homework.
What if you could plan out an entire world using sketches? Welcome to Sketching Everything. KleinerHai is a concept illustrator and designer with a talent for creating immense, sprawling worlds. In this brand new Learn Squared course, he's going to teach you his comprehensive techniques to define every aspect of a project through simple, easy-to-learn sketching. When building a world from scratch, quick and dirty brainstorming is the name of the game. Kleiner will help you to create not just singular drawings, but dozens of sketched images at a time, each defining different aspects of your universe. Using Kleiner's signature macro to micro workflow, you'll start with the largest establishing scenes and work your way down to the smallest personal moments. Throughout the course, you'll learn several finishing techniques for your sketches, including full line art scenes, value sketches, character sheets, color frames, and large-scale environment plans. Finally, you'll separately design close-up details like individual buildings or animals, even down to the doors and windows used in your world. By the end of these 4 lessons, your pencil will be able to move at the speed of your imagination. On top of that, Kleiner is currently hard at work on a second course, all about his painting techniques, set to come out early next year. Your next project awaits. All you need to do is sketch it to life. Sign up today at learnsquared.com.